What a week! We had big confessions on Arrow, a mean queen mom on Supergirl, and things took a very cold turn for Team Flash. And we're all in shock, but it's okay because we're going to talk it out right now on Super Chat. Well, hello everyone! Welcome back to Super Chat. And I have two great guests with me today. You may recognize Chris, he's been on before, but Alex is new. But we've had the Name Redacted Podcast on before, and we're so excited to have you back. I've actually been on their podcast. Tell us what's been going on.
Got a lot.
So much.
So much, all the things.
So much. We just got back from Oak City, or NC Comic Con Oak City last week. We ran some panels there. We got to interview Steve Niles, the creator of 30 Days a Night, which is one of my favorite comics. And we got to do it on comfy couches in a big room.
Did you fangirl a little bit?
Oh, real bad.
Real bad.
I'm sitting there trying to contain him, like, dude, calm down.
And you got to meet DMC?
We got to meet DMC again, for a second time. We got to interview DMC. That episode's coming out today.
Oh.
It should be, yeah.
So Name Redacted Podcast, where can they find it?
NameRedactedPodcast.com.
Well, there you
go.
go.
iTunes, Stitcher, Podcast Addict, wherever you find podcasts.
Okay, and you've brought some art to show, and also randomly a crocheted Death Star. I'd like to point out the crocheted Death Star.
You like that?
Yes. Who made that?
Actually,
that's our producer.
Wow.
Olivia, our producer, crochets for us, and this is something that she made for us recently.
That's so cool.
Right now, we actually have a Kickstarter going on to expand the show to twice a week.
Oh, nice.
We've been doing for about 4 years now a recorded show that is audio only that we post.
Yeah.
About every Wednesday, and we wanted to expand it so we had a little bit more reach, and so we're going to do a live video show on Sundays, as well as the recorded show we already do.
And it kind of harkens back to where we started, because we started kind of hanging out, just like, BSing with our friends, and so we sort of have lost that as we've started to be able to get better interviews and things like that. So we're trying to make
back to the roots.
Yeah, so we're trying to make the audio podcast itself be a interview focused thing, and then the live show it's gonna be live on the internet, much like this, if you guys are enjoying this. And so that's what the Kickstarter is for.
Awesome, very cool. So the content typically covered on Name Redacted, it's from comic books to music to video games. Is it run the gamut?
A little bit of video games, movies, a good amount.
I'd always put it, or I always put it into kind of it's a nerd and pop culture podcast.
There you go.
It does a lot that focuses around interview and review, depending on what we're talking about during the week. We've had a lot of very famous people in terms of the comic book industry come on. Adam Hughes, who's one of the most well-known and foremost experts in the art industry when it comes to comics. And we do like tabletop game reviews and things like that, and board games. So we're just trying to go back to our roots a little bit, like Chris said, and just expand it.
And we really we're more than anything, we're kind of like production nerds. So we talk a lot about the creative process, and we try to when we have guests on, we like talking to them about what they're into outside of just the art that they do and stuff, and then try to kind of bring it back around and be like, okay, well, how does that influence you? Like, what is your process? Like if you're writing a comic book, like are you the guy who does the panel outs, or like is that something you have influence on, or is that something your artist does? And like, what kind of relationship do you guys have, and how is the art crafted?
So you really like peel back the layers of all these popular artists and comic book writers that people know, and you get to see more what inspires them.
Certainly try to.
And part of it is also, since we are kind of in the industry ourselves, like we are all writers, Chris, Colin, and myself. Colin's not here today.
Hi, Colin.
Hi, Colin. He was here last time. But we do a lot of panels and workshops at comic book conventions, so we like to actually get people from the industry in and actually do shop talk, which is something you don't usually find too terribly much on podcast shows.
And I think especially at like the comic book conventions and stuff, there's a lot of people that go there because they're looking for that, and there's not a whole lot of outlet for that kind of stuff.
Now, where can people find you next at a convention?
Our next 100% scheduled date actually isn't until, I believe, NC Comic Con Bull City. We leave it open a little bit for the middle of the year because we get some requests here and there. I think Winston-Salem Comic Con might be one we're going to do again this year, which we've done for years. But also we have a lot of other things that are actually international that we've been asked to do, so that's kind of how we're trying to.
It's really cool.
It's growing. The Name Redacted.
And then we always come to Heroes kind of hang out.
Yes, for sure. And we always run into them there. And again, go to NameRedactedPodcast.com to listen to the ones out today.
It will be.
It will be.
It will be.
After
They got
this.
to get back home and put that on. They're actually from Greensboro. We're out of Charlotte, so they've traveled, and we appreciate it.
We got to do an overdub.
Yes. But we're so glad to have you guys here, and we want to get into the question of the week. This was a big week of episodes, so the question of the week was, what did you think was the biggest whoa moment? There's Killer Frost, Mon-El's mom, Terry Hatcher's kind of a murderous lady. Ollie, there's a lot of killing. Ollie loves killing. We learned that was something. And then Katie Cassidy is coming back for season 6 of Arrow. We're taking it to Facebook, and they had a lot of response, and the biggest winner on Facebook was Killer Frost. And I thought that was a pretty good reveal, but I kind of thought that the Arrow episode was real strong this week. On Facebook, Matthew said Killer Frost. He didn't think they'd have her go cold for another episode or two. Then another person thought Killer Frost was also the big surprise. And Ollie said Barry running up the buildings and phasing through the time machine to catch up. That was a good, throw in your own adventure there. And then also another person thought that Rip Hunter is in the Wave Rider as a toy, as Eobard's office. I am not caught up on Legends of Tomorrow, but I will give them that so you can write in your own answers. But yeah, so Killer Frost was the winner. What did you think?
For me, like it actually was the whole evil Mon-El mom.
Yeah.
Mainly because the whole Killer Frost thing, like we already know what she is.
Yes.
And it doesn't really change anything. Just the fact that they did it sooner doesn't really make that big of an impact. Also, if you didn't see that Oliver Queen likes to kill people, then you haven't been paying attention for 5 seasons.
Yeah. That was a little bit of what I was gonna say, because like with Oliver Queen, even if it's not explicitly stated, he's a superhero. He's doing this, and he obviously has less reservations about it than somebody else might,
Yes, exactly.
And so being able to explicitly state that, but dude, Killer Frost, right? Because
it was a big change in the episode. We all thought it was going to be a Savitar-themed episode. We thought we were going to find Savitar. So it was kind of a big twist at the end that I think you kind of maybe saw it coming if you watched like right at the setup of the episode where they showed Killer Frost, but then you forgot because of so much Savitar stuff. I thought that the Oliver confession was quite good because, well, I agree with you in that if you have to make parameters to like, we're not going to kill, like I don't have to do that. You don't have to do that. We're not like, the production dudes are not like, we're not killing today at WCCB, Charlotte CW.
Taking a day off.
It's hard, but we're not going to do it. So, when you have to set that parameter, although we're not, weaponized here, I think, you can see it, but I thought it was a really cool episode in that he was trying to convince him to confess to something he didn't know. Like it wasn't like on the top of his mind. So
right, and it becomes like a revelation to himself a bit too.
It was one of the stronger Arrow episodes this season.
I mean, and that's a tactic you see in a lot of these types of shows and movies. Like it's definitely something that has been seen in a lot of other media like this.
Yeah.
Like where someone is getting questioned on a thing and they're not sure what the thing is.
Yeah.
And then when they finally realize it, you're like, oh,
yeah.
Well, that was kind of obvious.
Yeah.
Which does make it an interesting reveal. It's always cool to see a character come to a realization in that way, even if it's something that the audience may or may not have known it is.
Right. It was pretty deep for Arrow, and I think it was, I don't know, he could have confessed something that like no one in the audience could have known. Like maybe there was some weird part of that backstory or something that would have maybe been interesting, some surprise. But it also was kind of a nice character development for Oliver Queen because he's been a little flat this season. And, it's season 5. There's season 6 coming up. Where do we go from here?
Well, and so that's the thing, right?
Yeah.
Because it also sets the tone. That is now the established fact. That's what we're moving off of. So it sets the tone that with that piece of information moving forward, is that something that we're going to be able to see him explicitly struggle with now?
Yeah.
Something where he is getting enjoyment, but at the same time is consciously uncomfortable with the fact that he does,
like killing.
Yeah.
Well, Stephen Amell did a great job acting this episode. I think it'd be funny if they just took like a 180 and he's like, nah, I'm gonna work at Starbucks. And then like the team has to carry on. And I want to see where they go with this. And we have about a month until we could find out again, because the shows are on hiatus for about a month. But we did find out that Cassidy is returning as Black Siren. A lot of you were excited about that. And shout out to all of you on the Flash Discussion Facebook page and Lance Ospresser and all of his admins for all your contributions. A lot of you were really excited about Cassidy coming back. Our guest last week, Jack King, was most excited about her coming back. So, you know, what do you think about her being back on the show and as a full-time cast member?
I don't really feel that like one way or another.
Have a feeling.
No, it's one of those things where like I'm not sure if it's gonna add anything. So like, or at least nothing substantial enough for me to feel like the show will be vastly different with or without. So what's kind of the point with being really hung up on it if it's not gonna actually pull through with anything?
Right.
I like seeing fan favorites return, especially like with shows like with the way CW handles their shows.
Yeah.
I'm very glad that they do play to the fanfare, because there's a lot of superhero stuff that doesn't.
Right, and they sure do. As we saw, Terry Hatcher came back, Kevin Sorbo came back. Well, they were both superheroes and on different shows in the past. And I wanted to bring up about Supergirl. Why are we not seeing her? Why are we not seeing Terry Hatcher and Dean Cain in scenes together?
It's burying the lead, man.
I was gonna say it's one of those weird things like you have to approach things from a storytelling standpoint and from the production standpoint.
Yeah.
And the bottom line is that's a great way to end a season.
True.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah, it is. And that's what on Facebook, it was on Twitter, Chris Bacon out of Raleigh. You guys may know Chris Bacon. He's out of Raleigh.
Well, his name is Bacon, so I would like to know him.
You would like to meet him. But he said, I would guess that it's coming at some point. It does seem that they are the two remaining villains to figure out. And that's a good point. So we could see them towards the end of the season, and the end of the season is not far away. These shows end at the end of May, and they're off all April.
Yeah.
So it's like 4
And we're
more
starting to see the pieces fall together now.
Yeah, and it's fun. I've been enjoying this ride. I am curious to see how they will transition Arrow from these 5 years of backstory into. Stephen Amell hinted at possibly doing like future flashes. Mm-hmm. But maybe, like, I don't know.
It's going to be tough.
Is he going to wear another wig? Is it going to be like a mohawk wig? Or, you know, I mean, his wig was looking pretty good this episode. They finally figured it out 5 years in. That looks pretty realistic.
At least it's not the wig that you got from the Fantastic Four.
Yes.
At least it's not that.
Look at your wig. But I think it's maybe because he grew his hair out a little bit to, like, help make it fit. I don't know.
Facial hair brings it together, too.
Yeah, a little bit.
I wouldn't know about that.
It was just... This is actually a wig, everyone.
This isn't real. None of this.
The Flash was a pretty fun episode this week with a very creepy villain, Abracadabra. You know Abracadabra from the comic books. Yeah. How do you feel about them using him on the show?
I'm always a little bit more, like, this is where me and Chris kind of differ with this. I'm always a little bit more attached to characters that are mystical in nature. Like, I like the magic aspect. Because it's not grounded in the science that everybody kind of gloms onto with this kind of stuff.
Yes.
And they're more rare of a character than your science-based supervillains and superheroes.
Yeah.
So for me, like, I like seeing them. I'm stoked because I'm just like, oh, Dr. Fate could show up, and I'm real. Yeah. Like I'm kind of really on board with the idea of that. But
you like those kinds of villains. I thought this actor did a really good job of being just a creep. Like, he was super creepy. But they did set the whole episode up as he was going to reveal who Savitar was. They did not. He did not. They couldn't get it out of him. Do you have any predictions on who Savitar might be?
Man, this gets into a whole can of worms with me.
Yeah.
It's funny because when the season started, Flashpoint is one of my favorite comic book storylines of all time. I own the original run, first printing, first issues, all that.
Yeah.
And it was a big reason I got back into comics and back into writing. And
a lot of people say that.
Well, it was a way to reboot the universe without doing it in a really tasteless way.
Right.
And it brought us, the New 52 and all that, which was pretty cool. But the problem that I have is I'm tired of speedsters.
Yes.
It gets real old. I'm tired of time travel. I think the gimmick is getting really played out.
Right.
And at this point in time, I kind of don't care who Savitar is.
Yeah. Yes. Like, that's not good for you not to care. For, not well done. Writers.
Well, that's the thing is that, like, I think it'll be an interesting reveal because I'm sure it's somebody that you know.
Yes.
But like, it's just another fast dude.
Well,
it's
that's the
just
thing.
Another fast dude.
I kind of hope it's not, because I would love to have something come out of left field.
Yes, me
because
too.
we do get a lot of stuff that kind of ends up being kind of predictable and set up, and you can watch it come together. And I think
like last year's season.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
We figured it out.
It'd be cool if it was like a speedster version of Red Tornado. Like I would be super excited about that.
Tornado.
Like just have it be, you know, a Tamahan. Like just have it be
something different.
Something different.
Yes.
Like just because I'm sure it'll be somebody we've seen.
Yeah, and all the cast members have been quoted as saying you're never gonna guess who it is, and maybe they're just saying that. I would say that if I was on a show and people were trying to, I'm like, you'll never guess. It's definitely not me in the future or HR. I don't know, but Abra Kadabra did hint at, well, people are thinking it's a hint. He said, I know you from the future, and you have fought many foe in your time, including DeVoe, which, as you know from the comic books, is the Thinker, a genius inventor, otherwise known as the Thinker, using scientific devices and like a thinking cap. He was a member of Injustice Society and Suicide Squad and one of Flash's foes. So,
what if it's Barry?
What if we see him? What if Savitar is Barry?
Yeah. Like, what if it's Barry?
That's what people think, because Savitar said in a few episodes back, I'm the future Flash, and it was, is there a comma?
Maybe it's Bart.
Yeah.
Could be Bart.
Could be Bart.
Bart Allen?
That'd be cool.
That would be really cool.
That'd be really cool if it was Bart.
I'd be more interested if it was.
So it's like their future kid?
Well,
but why would he kill his mom?
Well, like, it'd be really cool if they used the New 52 version of it, where Bart Allen actually goes back in time from his future, which he actually, I believe his name is Bart Lowe.
Okay.
And he actually comes back and joins the Teen Titans, and he's not really connected with the universe, and he's actually a war criminal in the future.
Okay.
And I think that'd be I'd be down.
Like way out of left field. Like you
I'd
said.
be super down.
Yeah, because that's like, I think that's where Flash is at its best.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways. When stuff is just like weird and random and out of nowhere.
Yeah, and they've done a good job with that in the past. I'm not, like you said, I'm not loving that it's just another speedster villain. I do like the mystery of who is this person, and I think they're trying to throw red herrings at you. Like this episode, HR was gone like the whole episode.
Well, and the other thing they do really well with the Flash, like is, let's say it is Bart, is that they are very good at changing character motivations, changing the way things happen, changing why things happen. And so I think a lot of like the interesting parts of the Flash is not the reveals as they're set up for the show, but kind of the way that they affect the world around him and the way that changes the universe. Yeah,
we see this episode that Barry decides to get ahead of all his villain foe, that he also needs to know the future. So he's going to go into the future in this next episode coming up in about a month, and there he encounters future Barry, who says, are you from before she died? Which would make one think that, I guess, and that's his new Flash suit, the future Flash suit, and it would make one think perhaps maybe this Savitar is not future Flash if he's talking to future Flash, or maybe they're throwing you off, maybe there's multiple versions.
Yeah,
but
maybe it's just farther in the future.
Well, I mean, they've already introduced the multiverse. Like, it already exists, so the idea that it could be Barry from another timeline is not left field at all.
Is that lame? That's lame, right?
I mean, it is, but it isn't, depending on how you look at it.
True.
Right, because that's the thing, because like there's an amount of time between now and when the reveal, I told you he breaks
laughs.
Can
we still hear everybody dropping mics? He was doing mic drop, and you have to say something way better before you drop the mic.
That's 2 in 1 week.
It did the exact same thing the other one did.
No, he did walk in and say he breaks laughs.
No, it did the same thing. The clip came off.
Oh,
I didn't even
set it on the table. We're not real fancy.
Everything's fine, everyone.
Everyone's fine. We're all okay. You can still hear us.
Viewers at home.
We had a mic drop.
I don't remember where I was going with that.
Well,
I just ruined everything.
We're talking about future Barry. My question to you is it rocket science for him to go to the future? I mean, he messes up the past, but if you go to the future, does that mess up anything?
I mean,
I hope so. That's what's interesting, right?
Yeah.
I guess the way they've always explained it is like anything at all that you do that tells you anything about the future influences your past.
Yeah.
And also just that whole
true.
timeline ripple effect thing.
Yeah, the butterfly effect.
Well, and that's the other thing that's cool in at least the comic books. I don't think they haven't explored it as much as I would like to see in the show. But the idea that by going back and changing things, you can just rehash the exact same story over and over again, and it becomes a completely different animal.
Yeah.
You get completely different, motivations and things.
Yeah, I think the season, I'm not sure how I feel about it in general. I feel like we're doing the same. I'm having the same chat discussion as I did last year. Like, who is Jaeger, or who is the Man in the Mask? Who is Savitar?
And that's kind of the downfall of the Flash a little bit, I think. That's why I would like to really see something come out of left field.
Totally different next year.
Well, it's that Scooby-Doo syndrome where nothing really ever changes, even though it's slightly different every week, and especially with this, because it's the same formula every season. Which is a little bit of time travel, a little bit of speedster, don't know who the speedster is, have some hints, have some clues.
Save Iris.
Also, like, given I don't know exactly what the development teams are like, but if it's a similar development team to Arrow hit that same lull at this point in its run.
They did, yeah.
And they managed to pull out of it pretty well. So
yes, seasons 1 and 2 of Arrow are very good. This season of Arrow has been good. One of the big twists from the week, of course, you saw was Killer Frost. Caitlin, we have lost our Caitlin to full-on Killer Frost. What are your predictions for Killer Frost throughout the rest of the season? Will she stay Killer Frost? No. This was a pretty, really well-acted scene between Cisco and Tom Felton, Julian Albert. And if you caught, they said when he operated on Caitlin, they said, "Way to go, Dr. Julian Albert, MD, Dr. Alchemy." That was a cool nod. There were a couple fun references in the show. We'll get to them, but tell me what you think. What is going to happen with Killer Frost?
I think judging by the format of the show, she's probably going to flip back quick. I think the most interesting thing would be if she was just hanging around and messing stuff up. And especially if we don't see a huge focus on her and she gets an opportunity to kind of have her own arc independently of everything else that's going on, and we see it kind of come together at the end.
Yes. And something with the backstory with her mom being the doctor or the clinician, lab scientist or whatever she is. Maybe there could be something there to further develop. I do like when they introduce more of the backstory to the characters. They jam-pack these episodes. They obviously don't have time to do it.
Yeah. And at the same rate, it would be cool to see them explore Killer Frost as a character more, because she's really interesting.
Plus, she's such a beloved comic book character that keep her on for a while. And the internets have made a good point of saying the makeup that she has on is not too drastic, so it's something like CW could realistically do
every week.
But the action was cool in this episode, like the CGI, real big.
I think one of the things
getting a lot better in general.
I think one of the things to look at with this is when you're talking about characters and whether or not they revert back and whatnot, it's important to remember that people like the consistency, and comic books have a very, very age-old tendency of killing people and then bringing them back. So the fact is,
it's a delicate balance, because you get
and you could kill her in 2 episodes, and then Caitlin will probably be back next season, kind of thing. So but I mean that's the symptom of comics.
It is. But it's also, you know what? That's why it's almost like soap opera. That's why people watch forever.
Right. Well, and that's what I was gonna say. And it lends itself really well to the way that the CW handles it, because they do have a little bit more of that soap opera element. But that's good, because that means that as a viewer, if you fall behind and you miss a season, you can hop back on and kind of catch up quick, and it's still interesting. So
there's a lot to be seen with The Flash. Let's take a look at the trailer for the end of the month. I believe it comes back April 25th. But check out the trailer for next episode. It looks like a pretty cool one.
Cisco, what happened to everybody? That is something you're gonna have to see for yourself. You're from before she dies, aren't you? 2024, I made it. Tell me who Savitar is. We'll stop him before he even tries.
You are gonna be so surprised when you find out.
You're in for a world of pain.
The Flash. All new episodes return Tuesday, April 25th on the CW.
So we go into the future that is maybe free of Alex dropping microphones. We're still laughing about that. It's because he predicted it. He came in before the show started and said he's going to break the law of Mike.
Thanks, Barbara Gordon.
It was weird, so maybe Chris is Savitar.
Hey.
He knows the future. We don't know.
I'm just going to start calling you Oracle from now on.
Oh, yes. But it's been a big week of episodes. Arrow is on tonight, I believe. I think it's on tonight. I'm not sure. But Arrow is on Wednesdays typically. And then you know who's coming back is iZombie next week. So if you're an iZombie fan, We've got some clapping. We have light applause, golf clap in the studio.
Vertigo, man.
Zombies
Yeah.
coming back.
Vertigo's got some solid content.
Have you watched any ISO?
I watched the entire first season.
Yeah?
It's
and
funny.
It made me giggle the whole time.
It's a lot of the Party Down guys who write it, and they make references like, "Are we having fun yet?" If you haven't watched Party Down, watch Party Down.
My favorite running shtick on that whole thing is just chopstick brains.
Yes.
Like chopstick brains is like it kills every time. It's
good,
solid.
Because I think of it as like spicy noodles. I don't know.
It's totally spicy
It
noodles.
may be super creepy of me, but I want to thank you guys for being on and driving all the way down here from Greensboro to break our mics. I'm kidding.
You guys have fun.
I'm leaving. I'm gone.
Check out Name Redacted Podcast. They're going to put a new one up soon. Name Redacted Podcast.com. And go to their Kickstarter.
Yeah, so these are some of the prints you can get on the Kickstarter.
Yes.
This one is Bridget Connell, who you know.
I know her, yes.
Yeah,
and this one is Chris Wharton and our good friend Tony Zola.
Very cool.
And then this guy right here.
Bo
is
Fader.
Bo Fader, and that's got our podcast on there.
Get
so
some
you
of
guys
those
can
prints. They're
find it yourself.
fancy.
And you can get these plushies on the Kickstarter too.
Yeah, look on the, because that's actually real cool. And I know a lot of you out there are going to want the Death. Oh, and there was a Darth Vader reference.
Yeah, and there's more. We've got,
And
these are just examples. I think we have 10 prints total, and
Check
we've
it
got
out.
a
I
bunch of plushies.
think 6 or 8 plushies.
Yeah.
And also just get in touch with us. We like talking to people. And anybody out there who's interested in being on the show or wants to see somebody on the show, we're always open to suggestions.
Yep.
And as you can tell, we like to talk.
We all
And
like
break
to
mics.
chat. We like to super chat. Yeah, with nice mics.
I'm never going to live this down.
It's okay. Thanks for being on.
Absolutely.
And we will
Thanks so much.
chat with you in a few weeks. Bye, everyone.
Take it easy.